Hello everyone again. I hope you're doing well. Continuing with talking about tactical periodization, again, as I always repeat over and over, these are things that are very long and very complex. And just focusing on them, videos are maybe 15, 20 minutes long is kind of difficult, okay? But I will try my best to make it as short and as entertaining as possible. And basically focusing on what we're always repeating over and over for encouraging coaches to create their own way of training. Of course, there are generic tasks or exercises that can be applied perfectly to any moment of any model of play or any playing model. But the central part of the training has to be related to how each team of that coach, whoever's watching this video, or physical trainer, how that team is going to play, how that model is going to be built up, and what they're going to do on the pitch on the matches, no matter if it's a team of kids that are 7 or 8 years old, or if it's a semi or a youth team, under 20 or under 17 or under 18, or if it's or 16, or if it's a semi-professional team, or if it's a professional team. In this case, it is all the same. We're always, as coaches, building the playing model throughout the whole season, every day, every session that we have. Okay, and this is basically how tactical periodization can apply to any model of football, playing football, whatever the age, whatever the level. Okay. So as we mentioned before, we can organize or fract in different ways in tactical periodization. The first part we talked about was how we organize according to the skills of the team. Okay, if it's collectively, intersectorially, group, by individually, okay? Individually, group, sectorially, intersectorially, and collectively. The second part we talked about is according to the space on the pitch. Okay, so we're going to organize or fract according to the space on the pitch. And in this case, we're going to focus on the phases or the moments, okay, which are the moments or phases that you have in every game. This is related to any collective sport where we're changing from attack to defensive transition to defense to offensive transition and to attack again. So we're always changing dynamically because the dynamic is one of the things that is the main characteristics of collective sports, okay? So we always have to train this because these moments are very important, okay? Especially now in modern football where big data or big data has a lot of relevance. We're seeing the importance of that Professor Friday 40 years ago saw and many people did not see. Okay, so in this case, we're going to focus on the moments, okay, and the dynamic of the change of the moments, okay? And then, as I said before, the things we have to take into consideration when we're going to organize or fract the sessions, because many people do not understand this, and it's not really so complicated if maybe they're able to analyze this video that we're going to talk about, is how we're going to organize the sessions is going to be related to the principle of horizontal alternation and specificity, which is one of our 3 methodological principles, along with propensities and complex progression. I see a lot of people talking about the principle of specificity as a methodological principle, and it is not. This is a mistake, okay? That's a meta principle, which means that it is specificity is always in all of our methodology, always in everything, okay? Specificity. So this is not a why, it's not a principle of methodological principle. The second aspect or things which is related to the principle of horizontal alternation and specificity is a morphocycle. And morphocycle it's called morphocycle because we're given shape. Morpho comes from shape originally, and we're giving shape to the week and how our model is going to be built up or be constructed, okay? And the third one is the subdynamic of each session. So according to the session that you're going to have, if it's an acquisition session, which can be a tension, duration, or speed of the muscle contraction, or if it's a recuperation session after the match, immediately the the following day after the rest day, or the preparation of the next match, which is the last day of training before the match. Okay, these will all would have different subdynamic. Okay, so according to that subdynamic of that session, this is how we're going to fract. If we're going to do it through moments, if we're going to do it through a space on the pitch, or if we're going to do it through the scales. Okay, this is basically what it really is about. Tactical periodization, which is why people not understand it. And then the last aspect that is very important is the principle of complex progression, which means that during the whole year, you're always going to go from more easy to more complex, okay? And always when we fract, we always have to take into account, which is very important, what Professor Friday talked about, is that we're always going to fract, reduce, but not lose the richness that the game has. So the task or exercise that we're going to create or we're going to use always have to have the richness that football or soccer has, okay, by itself. Okay, for the ones interested in writing to me for any questions or any suggestions or anything, my email is at the end, as you can see here. Okay, and we're going to go into a practical examples briefly. Okay, so as I said, we talked about scales, we talked about space, and we can talk also about principles. So these are all different ways of fracting, okay? And this is why you're going to see sometimes sessions of Mourinho or other coaches where you would see sub-principle, the sub-principle, the sub-principle, the sub-principle, okay? This is because that exercise was being fracted in several ways. It could be fracted according to the moment. It could have been fracted according to the space on the pitch. It could have been fracted according to the phase, okay? Or moment, okay? So in this case, it's a very simple exercise or task where we're going to look for the green team to go. The green team here is working offensive organization, changing to defensive organization, okay? So it will be defensive transition, okay? So we're going to make it easier for the blue team, or make it easier for the blue team to gain the ball quickly. And if they do that in the active zone, which is the second third, they will transition very quickly, and there we're going to create what we're working here, because this is an exercise we're working collectively and working from the first to the second third, but we're basically focusing on changing the green team from offensive organization to defensive transition. And here we're going to give information to our team. This is a macro principle exercise, okay, so it will be used mainly on the duration session, okay, of the muscle contraction, okay? So this is how you see how it's related to the subdynamic of the session, because we're working big numbers, macro principles, big space, okay? And not so much high intensity. And if green team gains the ball, they have to quickly transition very quickly and finish the play, okay? In less than maybe 4 or 5 passes, 6 passes. This is the information that you're going to pretend your team to focus on, okay? So this is why it's very important for you to have your own model and your own information, because maybe what Guardiola does, for example, you see an exercise or task is not what your team is going to do. Maybe when you steal the ball, you want to quickly transition, while maybe Guardiola wants to organize with the ball. So these are things that are very linked to how he trains. And I'm saying Guardiola like I'm saying any other coach, okay? Like Klopp or Tuchel or whoever, okay? Okay, the second example, so this is an exercise, the first one, which is an exercise we're fracting several ways. We're fracting through the moments, we're fracting through the scales, which is a collective exercise because we're working on the whole team, and we're fracting through the space. So this was an exercise done in the first and especially the second third, okay? So these are all ways of fracting different ways, okay? As I'm showing now. Okay, the second example is an intersectorial exercise in the last third, okay? And very simple, okay, 5v5. We have the 3 forwards and the 2 offensive midfielders and a holding midfielder. And the blue team will be the back 4 with a defensive midfielder. We're using supposedly a system or a structure of 1-4-3-3 or 1-4-1-4-1, okay? And once they gain the ball, the red team, they have to try to focus that target player, which will be an offensive midfielder, okay? And that will count as a goal. So always creating exercises where we're working different aspects or different things. Here in the Spanish methodology, we will be working socio-affective superiority, okay, which means that, and Barcelona methodology, which means that you know what your teammate, his characteristics, how he's going to move, what he looks for, whatever. Normally each one has the strong points, the weak points, the characteristics, if they're fast, if they're slow, okay, if they're very good on 1v1, if they take the 1v1, all these information that you're going to have in a team, okay? Another way of fracting, as I'm showing different ways, okay, now we're going to work sectorially, which is one line. These are the 4 defenders, okay, and the 3 forwards, okay? So the 4 defenders have to score a goal there. If they lose the ball, you can, if you want to, always create the situation where that thing that you're pretending to see or to make it visible happens over and over, and always repeating this aspect that you're trying to visualize many times. This is principle propensities, okay? So we're always going to start the same way. If you want to see it, do it more visible, you can reduce the space, and there it will be easier for the 3 forwards to steal the ball, for example, okay? Now, someone might say, okay, this is not very specific because the back 4 are not going to be placed maybe in a real match this way, and it is true. But the main thing that we're working here is low complexity, because we're working sectorially, and the change of moment from attack to defense, okay? And maybe you're focusing more on how they're going to drop back immediately after lose the ball. I mean, in other words, their behavior after losing the ball, okay? You understand? So these are things that we're going to are related specifically to the subdynamic of the session. So as you see, the 3 forwards, once they steal the ball, immediately play with the outside jokers, which are the 2 blues, and it creates a 5v4. Okay. So this was a sectorial task. In the space of the pitch will be the second third, or between the second and the third, the last third. Okay. And the following example. I'm just showing examples. This is a group exercise, change from attack to defense. So as you see, you will have a green team, you have a right back, a center defender, and a midfielder, okay? And then the opposite, red team, we have a left wing, it could be a forward, an offensive midfielder, and a left back, for example, okay? And basically the green team, the right back has to score a goal and a small goal, and immediately we're going to create a 3v2 situation with delay, okay? So the defenders have to try to delay until they get the defensive help or relay, okay? And the new situation of 3v3 is created if they're able to. And the red team has to finish the play very quickly, okay? So basically these are all very simple situations working now on the change of moment. So immediately we're changing from attack to defense. Okay, we're trying to take the other team is working the opposite from defense to attack in some cases, and we're always trying to take advantage of defense disorganization in offensive transition. Okay, and the opposite on the defending team. Okay. Okay, the next example I'm going to show, which are very simple and brief examples. This is just to show how we fract, okay? Because again, there's a lot of concern that there's many mistakes, or people writing about tactical periodization who really don't understand it. This is why I recommend, if you're interested in learning about tactical periodization, go to the real source, go to the people in Porto, headed by Mara Vieira, and all of her professors there, where you're going to learn directly from Professor Frade, and not maybe wrong material, because we're seeing that there's a lot of material coming out from courses in federations, from books, from videos, and really they don't understand it really, to be honest, okay? And it has a lot of mistakes. This is a 1v1, creating a 2v1 with a joker outside, okay? And this has as many variations as you want, okay? and changing from attack to defense, from a 1v1 to numerical or superiority or numerical inferiority according to whatever player it is, okay? And these are generic tasks or exercises. Okay, so another thing to point out is when you're working, especially sectorially, group, or individually, these are going to be tasks where we're going to work normally in the sessions of speed or attention, okay? And the complexity is not going to be so high, and we're going to be working with high intensity, okay? Of course, in the session of speed, the tasks or exercises are going to be a little bit different because they're going to be related to quickness and speed. And normally, we're going to work with actions which are very intermittent, okay, where they're going to stop. While in tension, they're going to be not so intermittent. The intermittent is going to be in the exercise, but it's not going to stop immediately after the exercise, okay? So there's going to be a lot of, in the speed session, there's going to be a lot of reps, while in the tension session, there's going to be a lot of sets, okay? So basically, this is a brief example of the third way I showed here, which is how we fract. Okay, so the first one is related to the scales, the second one is related to the space. In this case, the third one, we talked about the moments or the phases. Okay, and the next one, we're going to talk about the more complicated one, which is the one related to the principles. Okay, so the general principles of the game and the specific principles in general, which this is going to be constructed or built up by the coach. Okay, I'm going to give maybe some lines to guide the coaches who really are interested, and basically to understand really what this is about, because we see this problem, okay? So I left there in the slide my email address, so if you're interested in writing to me regarding any suggestions or any comments or anything you would like to know, please let me know. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope to see you again soon, okay? Take care, bye-bye.